Hello, welcome back to Hunter Tuned. I'm out at the shop tonight tinkering on my black EK Civic. This car had, you guys probably saw some of the videos on it. We did some dyno testing, and this car made like high 400s for horsepower on like 16, 17 pounds of boost, something like that. And it was just really kind of laggy. And I thought the VTEC wasn't working, and I thought some other things possibly, you know, I didn't have enough cam angle in it, stuff like that. So I proceeded to kind of continue tuning on the car a little bit off a camera, and I raised the cam angle up to 50 pretty much everywhere. I did a bunch of testing. The VTEC is working. I swapped the solenoid out and just verified like the solenoid wasn't the problem. VTEC was working the entire time, but the car still just seems, in my opinion, just a little bit laggy for the turbo size and the full race Sidewinder manifold and everything that it has. I feel like it should have a little bit more spunk down low than it does. But this is my first K20 that I've had, and obviously is quite a bit different from the K24 that was in my Integra. The K24 definitely has a lot more bottom end, but the 20 really shines up top. But this thing just overall isn't making power how I kind of figured it should be. So I'm diving deep. So I pulled the intake manifold off of the car and the valve cover, and I wanted to verify the camshafts and see what camshafts are in it, because if they're like an aftermarket cam, that might kind of explain some of the down low, lack of power down low. So I verified that they're stock Type S cams from my assumption. I don't have a lot of knowledge on these cams, but I'm pretty sure they're stock Type S K20 cams. And I pulled the intake manifold off because I actually got a new intake manifold sent over from JACKSPANIA Racing that we're going to be putting onto this car, along with a new throttle body. And we're going to be showing you guys that stuff here in a little bit, but wanted to pull the stock PRB intake manifold off, which in my opinion looks like a factory like GSR intake manifold, which those really aren't the best either. Just the design of the manifold makes me think like it's probably not the best. And upon further inspection on this car, it keeps surprising us every step of the way. So if you guys saw the first video of this car, I discovered that it actually has an ERL sleeved block. I pulled the intake off, and the head is also ported. It's not like a professional port job, but they definitely port matched like the gasket and stuff like that. It has aftermarket springs and retainers, and I saw down in there it also has ARP head studs. So I'm assuming if we can actually get this engine to make some power, it should hold together pretty good at pretty high boost. So this is my current theory on possibly why this car is such a turd down low, and it doesn't really continue building power up top. It just kind of goes flat once it makes power. And I took my buddy out for a street rip the other day, and we, you know, merged onto the highway, and I got onto it in third gear, and it's like nothing, bam, and it just all slams in super hard, and it blows the tires off, and it makes like 15 pounds or something like that. But even when it's in boost up top, it just still feels like kind of flat, just off. It doesn't feel right. So this is the factory K20 intake manifold, and you can see it kind of has like that, you know, old B series GSR kind of style to it. It goes up and then down, and then it has a pretty big plenum down here with actually like with a plate here. So I was actually going to take this plate off and kind of see what it looks like inside of here. It only really has like one vacuum reference that you can use. So we have the port here to go to the brake booster, and then we also have a nipple right here that we can get vacuum off of as well. And everything on the turbo system was referenced off of this line right here. So this line right here goes to these little holes right above the injector. So these little holes all connect on the gasket. You can see there's like an indentation where all those little holes connect, and that's where the vacuum source comes from. But it comes from behind the injector, which is super weird. You can see my finger here. So like I don't know if it's a boost source. I don't know if it's just a vacuum source. It's just to aid in cold starting, they say, to like introduce maybe a little bit more air in front of the injector or something like that, or behind the injector. I don't know, because like if I can zoom in here, I can't really see where the O-ring is sealing, but I feel like the O-ring seals above this hole. So maybe it still is getting boost and vacuum through the port, like up through here. It's hard to say, but like I said, everything on the turbo system, the wastegate, the blow-off valve, I don't know what else. I think just the gate and the blow-off valve. Maybe the boost gauge was off of it too, but I can't remember. But there's a huge conglomerate of T's, and there's also this sensor right here that has a vacuum line on it, and it has this big line was coming up to the top, and it plugged into that nipple, and it comes down, goes to a T, goes to this little sensor right here. I don't know if this is like a temperature sensor or what the heck it is. And then this line coming off another T goes up to the wastegate, and then another one down here goes to the blow-off valve. And I'm really surprised that none of those rubber hoses popped off at 16 pounds of boost, because they're not zip tied or anything. They might be a pretty snug fit, but it would make sense if that doesn't see boost, or maybe it doesn't see enough boost pressure. Maybe it sees a little boost, but it doesn't see enough to like reference properly to the gate and to the blow-off valve. And the reason that could be an issue is when I come into boost, the blow-off valve could be blowing open and it doesn't have a solid boost reference to go to the blow-off valve to keep the blow-off valve shut, if that makes sense. So I don't know, this is just like a theory that I have right now. I could be completely wrong. It could be boost and vacuum reference, but it just seems odd. And it doesn't seem like a good source if, you know, if that is a source. It doesn't seem like a good one. So on the aftermarket intake manifold from JACKSPANIA, it doesn't have those holes at all. And it just has ports in the plenum to get the reference from, which is going to be the best possible spot. So it has these ports on the JACKSPANIA manifold right here to get the reference from, which in my opinion, get the reference from the plenum, that's the best spot. And then you can see on the manifold itself, it doesn't have those holes above the intake port. But it still does have a threaded pipe thread in that area. So I don't really know. I don't know how, like, it doesn't really make sense because the gasket seals around the port. And the only way that that port could even get vacuum is if there was another hole, like the little holes. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like it just doesn't really make sense right now. I just actually texted a couple guys to see if they know anything. But I'm going to get this intake kind of tore apart. We're going to swap everything over to the JACKSPANIA manifold. And then eventually we're going to do some dyno testing after I do all these things and see if the intake manifold made a difference. We're going to see if it made a difference with boost, because currently it makes 16 pounds just referenced off of that port. If we give it a good reference, it might actually make less boost. But yeah, anyways, I'm going to quit blabbing. Hopefully some of that made sense, but it probably didn't. Alright guys, so I'm back out at the shop. It's the next day, and I've been kind of immobile for a little bit now. I don't know if I threw my back out again or something yesterday, but I've been trying to get this K20 car wrapped back up, and I think I found the issue. What I was talking about earlier in the video is the vacuum port that the car was using for pretty much the entire turbo system. I talked to Brent from PFI, and he actually told me, like, dude, that port never works. Even though it has vacuum, I don't think it's a boost reference. So those little holes I was talking about, I think is a real thing. So if you guys are using that as a reference for anything on your turbo system, throw it in the garbage. Switch out, you know, to the brake booster line or something else, or drill the manifold and tap it to a pipe thread. But I do have my JACKSPANIA Racing intake manifold that's going to go on the car, which I think this thing alone is going to make a lot more power on top of fixing the, you know, probable boost leak that was happening from the blow-off valve not shutting, not being referenced from a proper source. So I'm gonna get the JACKSPANIA manifold thrown on. This thing's gonna look so much better in the engine bay comparatively to the stock K20 intake manifold. I got all my sensors swapped over to the JACKSPANIA throttle body. All of it looks really nice. I did plug a couple holes on it, and it's got a bunch of outlets on it for, sorry, I was probably filming. I wasn't even filming myself. It has a bunch of outlets so you can have a bunch of dedicated sources for your vacuum and boost lines. And just the plenum design is pretty race car. So I'm pretty excited to see how this thing's gonna do on the dyno. Yeah, it's just been, the last couple days have been really frustrating for me because it's hard for me to like move. If you guys have been following the channel for a while, I actually hurt my back when we moved into our new house, and then I went snowmobiling on top of it, and like I just didn't want to rest because I'm really bad at resting. I want to move all the time and do stuff. I'm not the kind of guy to sit on the couch all day or, you know, sit around not doing anything. But sometimes when you have back pain this bad and you literally just can't move, or it's hard for me to move from standing to sitting, that's the biggest problem that I'm having currently is, you know, I'm fine if I'm standing and I'm fine if I'm sitting, but if I do either of them for too long, transitioning to the other is like excruciating. Like I can't even, it sucks. It sucks so freaking bad. Yeah, sorry to complain about that, but it's just part of life that I'm dealing with right now. It probably doesn't help that I've put on a few extra pounds for the back pain either. So like I'm trying to be a little bit more active, and the paramotor stuff has really been helping me with that, getting more exercise in and just getting more movement on top of my everyday activities. So yeah, that's another thing that. Like I'm literally walking right now and I'm crooked. Like I'm just naturally crooked. Like my back's it's fucked up. It sucks. So, anyways, yeah, it sucks. It really does. Okay, anyways, I'm gonna get this manifold thrown on and we're gonna tidy up some few things and redo the vacuum lines. Yeah, let's do it. Alright guys, so my back is feeling a little bit better, and I've been working on the car a little bit every day, and this thing, let me tell you guys, it's never ran this smooth before. This thing is straight chilling. I put the JACKSPANIA intake manifold on, a Hunter tuned fuel rail, and I swapped out the Bosch 210s that were in this thing. It had 2200s in it. And I swapped out for the 1500cc, and man, the 1500s idle so much better than the 2200s. The 2200s weren't bad, but I just figured this car's kind of a street car, so I figured 1500s, we should still be able to make over 600 horsepower and have a little bit better street ability. But I got my fuel pressure set at 40. Like I said, the JACKSPANIA intake went on pretty good. And man, it looks awesome under the hood. Everything looks freaking sweet. Another thing that I fixed was I put new pigtails on the harness because this is the shit that was on the car. So these are the pigtails that were on the car, and you can see some of the wires are actually starting to push out. And I put my fail-proof adapters on to convert this harness over to the Hunter tuned injectors, but the harness that was on the car is just dwindling away, to say the least. And one of the wires actually pulled out of the... It actually pulled right out of the clip. So I just said to hell with these things. I'm gonna wire on new pigtails. And that's honestly, like, if you guys have a harness that's in good shape, the adapters work really well. Hang on, let me shut this thing off quick. I still gotta bleed the coolant. Hunter tuned 6262 dual ball bearing turbo we put on this thing. Yeah, anyways, I'm pretty happy with how it's turning out so far because, okay, back to what I was saying. if your harness is in good condition, like a stock OBD2 harness or whatever, you can get the fail-proof adapters and should have no issues at all. But if your current harness is already cut and spliced and shit like that, just buy pigtails. I sell the pigtails as well, and you just solder them into your harness and do a better wiring job than what you were dealt, kind of thing. So that's my recommendation for you guys. Yeah, I still got to get some coolant in this thing. It's not quite the one thing I had to do to get this intake manifold to fit. Let me shut the radio off before I get demonetized. One thing I had to do to this radiator is I actually had to lower it in order to clear the intercooler pipe. This is just like a factory half-size Honda radiator. So I lowered it down in order to clear the intercooler pipe, but now I got to get my coolant funnel, or I got to find it, because I got to get the boiling point or the level higher than the engine, which it's currently not, so it's got air trapped, I'm sure. But yeah, other than that, the blow-off valve actually has its own reference now. The fuel pressure regulator and the boost gauge and all that stuff all has its own reference now, which is really cool. The thing idles good. I'm pretty happy. I just did a little bit of tuning. I changed the injector size, and I added some dead time to it because the 210s don't want as much dead time as like a smaller injector. So I did that, and I got it idling at like 13.5 pretty much perfectly. I might have to do something with a different belt, or I might swap the other K-tuned tensioner that I have on this thing, because the belt's pretty loose on it still. And it's a 4-rib belt. It's not even a 5-rib. But you can see how loose it is. But I threw on this red valve cover with the coolant, or not the coolant, with the oil catch can bungs already welded on. This valve cover was actually on the spare motor that I got with this car. So I took the valve cover that it had and I put it on this motor. And I took the valve cover that it had and put it on the sleeved block that's in the car. But I also might swap out this belt system, because this belt system seems a lot better, and it's adjustable K-tuned. So I might throw this guy on there as well. So we have actual 5-rib, or maybe they're 6-rib. They're probably 7-rib, honestly, at whatever. Throw the right rib on the car. But yeah, other than that, got the intake on. I cleaned up some stuff, my back's feeling better, and yeah, I'm just pretty happy. So, yeah, that's gonna be it for now. I wanna get this thing back on the dyno, maybe tomorrow or the next day, and we will see if we can make a little bit more power now with the intake manifold that we swapped on. And hopefully fixing those boost issues gets this thing to spool up a little bit quicker, because I'm gonna be kind of pissed if it doesn't spool up any faster, because it should for being a K20. But yeah. Anyways, guys, I don't know what else I can say for this video. I want to make some more videos soon of just kind of talking and stuff, but I don't know. I haven't been filming like wrenching on stuff just because I don't know. I feel like I've done it a lot. I'd rather talk about like what parts to buy, or talk about life, talk about mental health, talk about health, back problems, whatever. I'd rather talk about that stuff. I feel like I've already exhausted a lot of like how to turn a bolt, you know. I just feel like it's not exciting for me to film that stuff anymore for some reason. But I also did take the S2K out the other day. I really got to make a video beating on this thing. I have a little video I put on Facebook of beating on this thing, but I haven't made a video for YouTube yet. So you guys will have to leave a like if you want to see the Turbo S2000 out ripping around. And comment down below, guys, if you like the paramotor stuff too, because the paramotor stuff has been honestly probably the coolest thing I've ever done in my life, and I can't wait to show you guys more of that too. I actually have some more flights under my belt now, and I can't wait to get back out doing that as well. But I got to make sure the back is healthy, got to make sure the wife is happy, all that stuff first. But yeah, I can't wait to get some more awesome stuff going on with this thing. And I don't know. Thanks for everything, guys, and God bless. Have a great night and a better tomorrow. Can't wait to just enjoy life even more every day. So thanks, and thanks for all the support, guys, for the website support, everything. We might be doing some sales coming soon. I don't know yet. We can't really keep stuff in stock as it is, but we're trying. Me and Christine are a 2-person team for the website, and we just can't thank you guys enough for all the support. It's been super awesome. So thank you again, everybody, and see you later.